but
She keeps putting stuff in her bag.
yeah, I see that. This is all I got. I haven't tried to take stuff from all Eric.
Lemonade? I have a
This
lemonade.
is my dinner.
Cheers.
Cheers. Drink our country. And you're here too.
I think this will be the first episode of our kitchen talk. We'll call it this way. Kitchen talk.
Basically, like, we were just, like, I just got home from work and we were talking in the kitchen and kind of wanted to save some of the things that we were talking about. So we're going to try to make this a more or less regular thing and we do it anyway, might as well record it and, for future reference, and we talk about a lot of stuff, so we don't want to forget about it later.
Yeah. And I think when we started the channel, it's what I had in mind at least. We usually have so many ideas about things, and because we are from different cultures, this is where the name came from. So we are from different cultures, that's why we're culturally different, which means that we have two different perspectives on the same things. That's why when we have a conversation,
or try to
have a conversation, we see the things from different angles. I'm reading this book now, Weapons of Mass Instruction, and this is the second book by this author, John Taylor Gatto, that I've read. The most famous book that he wrote is Dumbing Us Down. Recommend to everybody, especially teachers, especially parents, hopefully parents of kids who don't go to school yet, but if the kids go to school, this may be something to read. You may hate it, you may hate this video as well, but in the long run it may help you understand that the way we look at things are not exactly the way the things are, and the bigger picture of education in general.
Yeah, and honestly, like even if you're not a teacher or have kids or thinking about having kids, it might be an interesting read anyway, because I mean most of us went to schools that were more or less the same, and he talks about a lot of the stuff that we went through, and kind of what it does to us over time and like immediately. So.
Actually, this will not be about the book. It just, again, as I said, it brought the conversation. What the author is saying in one part of the book, again, he has a lot of interesting ideas. He says that schooling is actually made to extend childhood, because the child, we view it differently now. So if 100 years ago a person who was 15, let's say, was called an adult, or was a man if it is a boy, or a woman if it is a girl, they had absolutely different life, and they had different responsibilities at all. Now we view a person who is 20, 25 as a kid, and we can call a boy man somewhere around 30.
Yeah, 30 or 40 or maybe even later, depending on the person.
And not everybody.
But yeah.
Some people will still be boys at 30, or we'll be calling them boys.
Yeah, it's actually interesting. Like, I just saw a meme that it was something about like being an adult for the entire day and how it's like too like exhausting. But like we really view like being an adult as such a negative thing too. Like,
something boring. You're stuck being an adult. That's why, for example, my parents, I remember vividly when I was 15 and anyway, I was 15 and many of people I knew, boys and girls at that time, they had some kind of summer job. And in Russia it's not really as common to have summer job. Usually it's viewed as a really big necessity. So if your parents cannot give you pocket money, you have to have summer job. Not many people have summer jobs, or at least among, I guess, middle class, that I was from, middle class. And I wanted to have a summer job because I wanted to be more independent, have my own money, not just the money that was given to me by my parents, but the money that I earned myself. And I told my mom that, and she basically viewed it as, why do I want to end my childhood? And she told me that I will work my whole life, so enjoy it before you have to. So you don't have to work now, just enjoy the freedom. But before, many people will be viewed as a man at 10, 9, in many cultures even from the age of 7. We started talking about this initiation ceremony that I've heard of, that was done in ancient Russia, we will call it this way, and it's still done in many other cultures.
I was in Afghanistan maybe like 10 years ago, and it was in a pretty, well, what was a pretty quiet part of the country at the time. And I remember, like, I was on guard duty and I was watching this little boy, and he was just out by himself, like mother, father, nowhere to be seen. Boy was maybe around like 8 years old. Yeah, really. And he, well, I guess he wasn't completely alone. He had a dog that was following him, and he had a donkey on a rope that was following him too. And but like that little boy was responsible for that donkey, which is, I mean, that's not nothing in that culture. Like, donkeys are useful. So like that's something big. And the dog, I don't know if the dog was just following him or what, but completely by himself, alone, like just about like out in the middle of nowhere. And he looked completely confident, completely competent in what he was doing. It was interesting, and you take that and you kind of look at like our kids.
If we look at it, it's not the school, it's not the school's fault, it's not anybody else's fault. It is the whole big thing that we have different approach to everything. We delegate a lot. We prefer to delegate and make somebody else responsible for our lives instead of us. And we started from the very young. For example, when the kids are, I don't even know what's culturally appropriate here, but before age of 3, they're not allowed to do anything. They're not allowed to climb anywhere because it is dangerous. They have to be followed everywhere, holding the hand, or just bluntly said, no, you can't do that. No, it's dangerous. No, don't do this, don't do that. And when it comes to the age when they naturally should be curious about climbing stairs, I mean, like high slide, for example, or anything supposedly dangerous. Of course it is dangerous, everything is dangerous. Of course you can fall from the side and break your neck. But when you don't let kids explore it when they're young, they will never learn the responsibility for their own actions. Because you are responsible for their life. You said it's dangerous. You didn't let them go, so you know better. Then you have to stop them forever then after that. Second, they don't learn limits. Their own limits. Some kids are very strong physically, some are less. And it's normal, we are different. So some kids, when they try to climb there somewhere, they will feel like, oh yeah, I actually can do it, so I should continue climbing until it's scary for me or until I'm tired or whatever. And they will continue doing it if they're not stopped because it is dangerous. And they're not going to climb all the way, they're just trying. But some kids will probably try a little bit, understand that they're not ready for it or they just don't like climbing, and they will stop doing it. But they have to be free to explore and to actually realize where their limits are. Mm-hmm. For example, now she is doing a lot of risky things, and I feel more relaxed because, again, I was raised differently.
Yeah, I'm usually like kind of a mess. Like we're at one playground with like a really, really tall metal slide. Paint's like peeling off of this thing. Oh yeah, on the sides, but like I got nervous climbing up that thing, and she climbed it no problem, like didn't even hesitate, no worries. She wasn't like shaking at the top like I was.
It was about twice our height, and we are 5'9".
I was higher than that.
Yeah, I
50
think.
feet.
No, but it was. I mean, it's scary for an adult to climb there.
Yeah.
And it's narrow and it's shaky. I mean, it's not really shaky. It's shaky for an adult, but not for a kid.
Yeah.
But it is very narrow, very tall, and the stairs are the steps don't have the back. So if you, for some reason, slide or something, if you slip, you can kind of fall through the gap.
Yeah. But she went up it. I was nervous, and that's something that like I'm nervous when she does even like little things, and I'm trying to like control myself a bit, and like really think like how bad could she actually hurt herself doing this? Yeah, if it's just like a little bit, and then she learns like a little lesson, and that's okay. Then I'm finding it's better just to let her do it, let her explore. She's surprising me. Like every day with what she's capable of doing.
But the thing is, she's not extraordinary. She is just a kid. And because we allow her to do it, we see what kids can do, what other parents may not, because they stop them from doing it. Because yes, we are responsible for her life and everything, but at the same time, if she doesn't learn it now, she will not learn it ever. She will do it as a habit, maybe. But as I was saying, that kids have to. Kids have to learn their limits, and that they are responsible for their life and for everything, for their learning, for everything. They shouldn't be doing something that they are told just because. They shouldn't rely a lot on our or anybody else's opinion. I feel that they will just think that they cannot decide how well or bad their action was done, but somebody else should, like a teacher or a parent or a friend, somebody. So they cannot tell for sure that what they did was good or bad.
As far as like kids being able to do things, and kind of like reaching that level where they're more responsible, they're more capable than we give them credit, for the most part. But again, like you gotta let them do that, and you gotta let them like take those steps instead of like forcing them to, or kind of getting in their way. Like they kind of know what they're doing.
Yes, and that's one of the things we don't see kids the way we should. We see them as you said, helpless. They cannot do anything for themselves. They can. Again, I'm pretty sure we discussed this before. We discussed this before, that if something happens and both of us have to leave the house for some time and leave her alone, she won't starve. She knows where the food is. She will open the fridge, take everything that she can find there. If she has to cut something or break something or put water in it,
or wash it. And she's 2.
She will, because we let her.
Yeah. So when I was making dinner, we always have salad with dinner. So Anya goes into the fridge, starts pulling lettuce out, and starts ripping it up, getting it ready for the salad. We didn't tell her to do that. We didn't teach her to do that. And she just from watching us, like she picked that up.
We view kids as helpless and that they cannot contribute to society for too much, for too long. It shouldn't be this way. And even if we see that they can actually do something, or they may be allowed to be responsible for something, we, as of a goodness of our heart, as my mom did, we just try to help them. Like, yeah, you can be responsible. Yeah, you can earn your own money for your own living, which will teach you a lot probably when you're a teenager. Not like when you're 2, of course, but it will teach you a lot of many things, like really useful knowledge and skills and everything, and just time management. So many things involved in when you start earning money for yourself, like just imagine yourself when you started earning your first money. But instead of doing that, we just tell them, oh, it's okay, we have money, don't worry about this. You will worry about this when you graduate? When you finish school? No, when you graduate college. Maybe when...
And like, this isn't that we're saying like kids should be out working in factories and the fields and stuff. But, and honestly, like, even like a lot of the places where kids would work, yeah, I mean like high school age, they're not doing a whole lot, as far as like responsibility goes. And it's not responsibility for like themselves or their family. It's, in terms of like you get paid to do this. It's not like, well, you make dinner, or we don't eat or something like that, or go get groceries. I mean, a lot of kids drive pretty early now. Have them make a list. Go get some groceries.
Yeah, not tell them that buy this, that, here's your money, and tell them that every step they have to follow. I mean, you are creating people, you're training your kids to follow orders. How is it different from training a dog? Of course, dogs are limited by what they can do, unfortunately. I'm sorry it sounds so bad, but it is similar. You're training a kid. In this process, they don't have to use their brain at all. And then when you want them to, you feel very disappointed at a kid because your kids can't figure this out. But how? They relied on your judgment the whole life.
And they feel disappointed because they feel like
you didn't even clear the service.
Well, they feel like they should be able to do it, but they're not sure how they would be able to. Like I look at like a lot of the things that I wish that I'd be able to do like at this point in my life, which is a lot, and I really didn't start learning how to do a whole lot until fairly recently, which is weird. Like I couldn't cook for a very long time, embarrassingly long time. And it's not really that complicated of a thing to do. And there's no reason why kids can't help like make dinner or make breakfast or something. And like something outside of like pouring cereal in a bowl.
Yeah, and helping me, not like how Anya helps me now when I cut something and her task is, which again I don't tell her, but she knows. She takes it and puts it in the bowl or mixing it or putting spices. No, just tell them, make dinner today. That's it. The fridge is yours. There's food in the fridge, hopefully.
Yeah.
Find anything you want, any recipe you want. If you need help where to get stuff or like what is not great to mix together, ask.
Yeah, or ask them what they'd like for dinner. All right, go ahead. If you want it, that's great. Just take care of it.
Cheese. What we're talking about with Afghan kids is it's just traditional.
We have this tendency of looking at, especially like cultures where there's a lot of like agriculture, especially like herding and stuff like that. We tend to see it, whether we want to or not. Like we see it as like backwards and like old-fashioned and like undeveloped. And I'm starting to wonder if that's actually the case. Like looking around, especially like some things that I see like happening in our like modern society now. I think that there are a lot of things that we feel like we've advanced in, and in truth we just got away from like the natural way that we're supposed to be living. And that's like a whole rabbit hole there. Like we tend to view America as like, this is not America bashing at all, but looking critically at like I'm gonna say our country, and you're here too, sorry. But looking at it critically, which I think is something that we don't do very often because we feel like we're not allowed to. Like we're constantly told America is the greatest country in the world. Like, we view ourselves as so multicultural, but if you look at like how many Americans actually travel to other countries or even live in other countries, it's so tiny. So you're comparing America with America, and you're not seeing like the full picture there, and you're not seeing how other societies really live and how they function. So it's not really fair or accurate to just keep saying, oh, America's the greatest, the greatest, the greatest. And I think now at this point in history, like we're really seeing that that's not true, and we're seeing a lot of the shortcomings show up a bit more. If you say that America's not the greatest, you're seen as like being anti-American instead of someone who's a bit more practical or looking at it critically, thinking like, how can we make this better? We're not the greatest yet. We have some things we got to work on, and narrowing down what those things are and what we can learn from other cultures and even other times. Generations in the past, we tend to view them as backwards because they didn't have the same technology as we do today. But at the same time, like, who built the pyramids? And today we have people wondering how in the world people thousands of years ago were able to do that. Like, they actually did it, and we still can't figure out how. Like, the only explanation that people can come up with to explain is that aliens did it. Being willing to explore like other possibilities and other ways of life. Really, it's something that we don't do here very often. And when you start taking that step back and looking in on it from the outside, I think we can really learn a lot. And that's kind of what we've been doing with these like kitchen talks.
Questioning all the things.
Including like education, like how we raise our children.
It's important to stop and rethink. Even if you don't change your mind about anything, but just stop and make sure that what you're doing, what you're thinking is correct, the best. I think we should all do it. And I guess we are... I guess we're just on this journey of transitioning from what we used to believe to what we believe now. But again, it's not set in stone. It will change. Probably it will change in the future.
Yeah, like we don't have all the answers. I mean, we're still young. We have a lot to learn.
I will mention it finally. The comparison with the Afghan lifestyle. That back in Russia before Soviet Union, before imperial, during imperial Russia probably too.
Like in ancient Rus.
Ancient Rus, yeah. They had this initiation for girls and boys, and this initiation was at about age of 6 or 7, which psychologically at about 6 and 7 it's when kids usually start school, but it's not because they start school, it's just psychologically when kids go through another separation period, when they finally start moving towards teenagerhood, kind of. So they separate from their mother more than before. This age was chosen not on random, but for a reason. Because about at the age of 1, it's when kids go through the first separation age, then about 3, then about 5, 6, or 6, 7. It's when they transition. And that is one of the reasons why schools start at about the same age normally. So basically they will be transitioning from being very close to their mother, which in traditional societies kids, no matter what their gender is, they will spend most of the time very close to their mother. Basically the mother will be protecting them, taking care of them, and being with them all the time. And then they will transition to adulthood, where they will be closer to their dad, but not in the way that they were with the mother, but the father or any male figure will be guiding them. There will be other males of this clan or family that will be helping them. And basically this ceremony helps them become responsible like adults should. They will be fully and entirely responsible for some activity of the family. The same happens with the girls, but girls kind of stay at home, mostly helping the mother. So the the mother just becomes, I guess they see her from a different angle now, not just like the mother that is caring and protecting, but also a role model for a girl like this. And for a boy, it will be their father, or pick some green tomatoes, or another male figure of the family or clan or elder person who is male. So they will be guiding them. Yeah, this is how they learn to take responsibility. I think I said responsible a pound of times.
Yeah, and
but it's about it.
They kind of learn their role in their society. Maybe you hit that before, but if you think about like modern society, that's something that a lot of us feel that we're lacking, is some kind of purpose. And I feel like a lot of us are always like trying to find that. I mean, we look for it in so many different ways. Even like up until like 50s, 60s, and people are still looking for that purpose, and it changes, but it doesn't feel like there's anything like in our society that really helps us to find it.
We delegate our responsibility, and we go far away from our families, unfortunately.
Maybe one thing too, like we kind of separate responsibility from like finding ourselves, and finding like where we belong.
I think because we view responsibility as something that we have to do, like chores. Yeah. And finding ourselves is more like my dreams.
Yeah, or like the movies where they like travel around the world and read poetry and drink coffee and wine and stuff.
Or as you would call by modern standards, slacking.
Wait, it's a gap year, it's not slacking.
It's really weird to see how different we are from people of even 50 years ago, 100 years ago, before the schools. Again, I don't want to blame schools for everything. It's just we accepted the change. Industrialization started, and we accepted the change that we want to delegate everything now. We don't want to raise our own kids. We don't want to. Maybe we want to, but we can't. We think we can't, and in many situations we really can't. Or it's really, really hard then. Or we feel like it's oppressing. It's the way I view traditional roles still, but it's not necessarily the way. I mean, it doesn't have to be terrible. Everything can be terrible. Traditional roles can be terrible, of course, and everything that had good intentions at first can turn out to be really bad for people.
And like really like a lack of self-worth when you think about it. And I think like a lot of the problems that we have in like modern society is kind of stem from that feeling that like people don't know what their role is, so they can't feel valued as a member of society if they don't feel like they're actually fulfilling any type of role. And not just society, but like within like families. Like I'm not talking like entire countries, but within like people's group of people that they care about. What do you think? Right in the mouth. You got two hands, sure. Maybe the others.
So yeah, I think we'll stop here. It's pretty much everything we want to talk about in this video. If you like this sirens, I'm kidding. If you like this format of videos, let us know. We'll continue making them anyway, because we want to document our mental development.
Yeah, our journey, and that's really what this is. I mean, I think And like you guys are kind of joining us like part way through. Like we've talked about a lot of this stuff before, and our opinions and like our views on a lot of these things have changed dramatically the more that we've talked about them, the more that we've kind of like analyzed like our lives and like our parents' lives and other lives and life in general.
Again, we're here not to judge or tell you that you're wrong. Nothing. But we're here to help those who question things. Question them. You can question them with us.
Thank you.
Or maybe this will help you see the things the way that are better for you. Thanks for watching, and see you later.
Yeah.
Bye.
Take care.